Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the information session for the 2025 Summer Abroad Program in Ecuador. So we'll start today with the land acknowledgement. We wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So welcome. My name is Genevieve. I'm one of the program coordinators from the Summer Abroad office, and I'll be leading the session today. We also have with us the two professors for the program, Professor Monica Havelka and Professor Christoph Richter. They will be speaking in more detail about the site and about the course a little bit later on. And we're thrilled to have with us a participant from last year, Caroline Ho. So she will be giving her perspective on the program towards the end of the presentation. And it's a really great opportunity to ask her some questions about her experience. So definitely keep that in mind. And we look forward to hearing from her towards the end of the session. So what we're going to do, we will start with a Summer Abroad overview. Then we'll look at the program itinerary for this program. We'll talk about course details, so academic information. Then we'll move on to the costs as well as financial assistance that's available. We'll talk about how to apply and what the admission criteria is. And then we'll, as I said, we'll hear from Caroline about the student experience. A couple of things to note is that the session is being recorded. So, and it will be posted on our website a couple of days after the session. So if you have friends who may have missed today's session, you can show them the recording, you can show it to your parents. It's available for you to refer to if you need to. We really hope to have some discussion. It's a great opportunity for you to ask questions. I guarantee you, if you have a question in your mind, probably everyone else in the group does too. So please feel free to reach out with some questions. So we ask you to post them in the Q&A module because this is a webinar format. So please post them in the Q&A. My colleague, Selena, who is joining us, will be working behind the scenes. So any kind of general questions she can help with the Q&A. But as we go, if you have questions for your professors, questions for Caroline, please don't hesitate to post them and we will read them out and talk about them after the presentation. So to get started with what is Summer Abroad. So with Summer Abroad, it's U of T courses that are offered abroad at various locations. This, of course, is the Ecuador program. So one thing that is unique about these courses is their very small class size. So for Ecuador, there's a maximum of 20 students who will be participating in the program. And Summer Abroad, generally, it allows you to earn a full Y credit in only 4 weeks during the summer. So that's normally either a full year course, and it's condensed down to 4 weeks during the summer. Because they are regular U of T credits and not transfer credits, they allow you to fulfill any program, breadth, or distribution requirements that you may have. They count towards your program the way an on-campus course would, and the grade also shows on your record, just like an on-campus course. They are taught by both U of T and international faculty. They really give you an opportunity to work closely with your professors and colleagues in a way that's unique at U of T. And of course, you experience what you learn. So you are on site, depending on the location, all of your site visits are tailored to the course. So they all link into the course material that you're learning. You get to spend a lot of time outside of the classroom, really experiencing what you're learning. And of course, connecting with guest speakers and local experts as well. So in addition to your U of T profs, you will be learning from guides as well as local scholars and people in various industries to really get a more holistic understanding of the course material. And just a note about us, so our offices are located in Woodsworth College, which is on the St. George campus. but our programs are completely open to all U of T students, no matter your faculty or your campus. And there are a lot of great reasons to do summer abroad. So first of all, the academic benefits. So being able to get a full Y course done in 4 weeks is a great opportunity for you. And it really enables students to focus on only that one course. So everyone in your class, everyone is just doing the one course. It really allows for a focused and really immersive learning experience. And working closely with your professors and colleagues. That's something that really sets summer abroad apart. Students always tell us about the friendships they made, about how close they felt with their professors. And that's something that students really experience with these programs. So that ties into personal development, gaining independence, gaining confidence in traveling. For a lot of students, it may be their first time traveling abroad. For others, it may be your first time being away from your family. So it's meeting those challenges, becoming adaptable, overcoming problems that really gives you the confidence and the independence as you move towards, your future goals. And professional benefits as well. So building your network, as we said, you will make great connections with your classmates, with your professors. A lot of students will explore possibilities for graduate school that they may never have thought of, or become so inspired that they decide to look into a new career direction. And we hear from students all the time how inspired they were and how they followed up this program by either going to graduate school there or deciding that they wanted to really devote their professional life to the subject. So a lot of personal and professional benefits with summer abroad. In terms of general eligibility, so as I mentioned, it is open to all U of T students. The minimum requirement is that you are in good academic standing and that you've completed at least one term by the time of application. So you should be in good standing. If you are on probation, unfortunately, you wouldn't be eligible to apply. If you are in first year and you don't have an academic standing that's been assessed yet, you are still eligible. You just have to have completed one full term of study. And your CGPA would need to be above 1.75. One thing to note is that visiting students can also apply to our programs. You may have a friend who wants to do the program as well. They can apply. They would be taking a U of T credit, and they can then have that transferred back to their own degree. And they can always reach out to us if they have any questions on how to apply as a visiting student. So let's get to the specifics about Ecuador. So we'll start with an overview. So the program dates are May 20th to June 11th, 2025. And your arrival in Ecuador will be on May 25th. This is the 20th year of the program. It's been running in partnership with our host institution, the Universidad San Francisco de Quito, for all of those years. They've been an excellent partner with us. They also take in students from different universities and run programs for them as well. So this is really a great area of expertise that they have. And they have put together fantastic programs for us over the past 20 years. And we are hosted by their campuses. So we start off at the Quito campus for just a couple of days where we have some academic orientations, but the main focus, of course, will be in the Galapagos. So we will be at the Galapagos campus for most of the program. As I mentioned, this program is taught by our 2 U of T faculty who are here today, as well as USFQ faculty and local guides. So this is the USFQ's GAIAS campus, so the Galapagos Academic Institute for Arts and Sciences. And this is on the island of San Cristobal in Galapagos. And this is your home base. This is where your classes and your meetings will be. It's right literally on the beach. So there's a lot of recreation and stuff that you can do after hours as well. So that's just a snapshot of the campus itself where you'll be studying. So for the first few days of the program, you're going to be in Toronto having some in-person classes. This will prepare you for your trip. You'll get some of the academic lectures done so that you can focus more on being in the field when you're in Ecuador. You'll be getting to know each other. You'll be getting prepared for the program. So it's a really good way to start the summer abroad, is with those few in-person classes in Toronto. We'll, of course, inform you of where they'll be, most likely on the St. George campus, possibly UTM campus, but we will let you know about that. And then Sunday, May 25th, is your travel day to Quito. So that's the evening that you will be arriving in Quito. You will start with 2 nights at the Hotel Kumbaya, which is a hotel also that we've had a wonderful relationship with over the years. And during those couple of days, you will have a tour of the USFQ campus, as well as a Quito city tour, a group welcome lunch, and some academic orientations. So we're only spending a couple of days in Quito. And then on the Tuesday, we travel from Quito to Guayaquil. And then we fly to the Galapagos Islands from there. And so that internal flight will be a regional flight, and that is booked by our partners, USFQ, and that's included in your field trip fees. So when we get to talking about the recommended flight, that's only for your flight into Quito and then out of Quito at the end of the program. And please feel free as we go along, again, if you have questions about the flights or anything like that, just to put them into the Q&A. So May 27th is when you arrive in the Galapagos. So the Galapagos, as you probably know, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's an isolated group of volcanic islands about 1,000 kilometers off from the mainland of Ecuador. So it's about a 2-hour flight that you'll have from Guayaquil to San Cristobal. The Galapagos is an opportunity to study a wide variety of endemic species in a relatively untouched landscape. As I mentioned, your classes will be at Gaius, so the USFQ's Gaius campus, and we'll also be arranging your accommodations on San Cristobal, which last year were at the Dolphin House Hotel. We expect it will probably be the same location, but USFQ will be confirming those bookings a little bit later on. If not the Dolphin House, then it would be at a comparable hotel in the area. So as I mentioned, Tuesday the 27th is our arrival in the Galapagos. We have a welcome orientation and lunch in San Cristobal. And then over the next week or so, you have a variety of different activities. You have some lectures at Gaius, as well as day trips and several local site visits. One of the things you'll be doing quite a bit is traveling by boat. And there's several sites where you'll be snorkeling. So Kicker Rock, Loberia Beach, Darwin's Bay, and Espanola. And then there's some other sites that maybe if I could invite Christophe and Monica to maybe talk about some of these sites in a little more detail.
How much detail do you want? We can talk a lot.
Maybe just a couple of the highlights.
Yeah, I mean, Kicker Rock is just, I mean, I have a Kicker Rock tattoo. So, I mean, that tells you how much I feel about Kicker Rock. It's just, it's an incredible location with, you know, we often see hammerhead sharks and cow-nose rays and, you know, all kinds of reef fish and of course, sea lions and so on. I mean, it's really spectacular. It is, even if you have experience with diving and snorkeling in various places, this is going to be unlike anything you've experienced. The Galapagos is different, you know, whatever. Caroline's going to be able to speak to that at some point, because there's not too many places where you're snorkeling and you have to watch out that a sea lion isn't, like, you know, right beside you, sort of watching what you're doing. So, you know, it's a pretty unique experience. But I guess, Genevieve, you're going to be talking a little bit about the swimming requirement or whatever.
Yes.
So yeah, feeling comfortable in the water is going to be pretty important. So that's one thing that we would mention. So I don't know, Chris, whether you want to add something or.
Sure. I'm just going to talk briefly about Hispaniola. Hispaniola is a small island. It's about a 2-hour boat ride from San Cristobal, where we're going to stay. I've been there a couple of times. Every time we've seen bottlenose dolphins, which is in my wheelhouse. But more importantly, it's a great day because we do both. We do a hike across the island, and we've seen 6 or 7 different species of birds, aside from the island is the only nesting sites of a species of albatross that we literally walk past. And then we do a snorkel in the bay. So we're there for a few hours and then we head back. So some of these days are long, they're and full of activities, and we're outside for that day. So they're definitely, yeah, fantastic sites, and as Monica said, places that they're very unique, only there.
Great. And then there's also included a 2-night trip to Santa Cruz Island. So you'll be leaving San Cristobal, traveling to Santa Cruz by speedboat. And you'll have several days of activities on Santa Cruz as well. That's where you'll also have the group farewell dinner. And then on the 10th is the time to travel back to Quito. The flights generally arrive in the evening. So that evening, if you're on the recommended flight, you would be staying over one more night in Quito at at a hotel closer to the airport, and then departing the next day from the Quito airport. So a couple of notes about your accommodations. So you are in double, sometimes triple occupancy rooms, in budget hotels. So these aren't 4-star hotels or resorts. As you can see, you will be rooming with other students. In terms of meals, some of the meals are provided. So all of the breakfasts are included, as well as most lunches. And this year we're happy to have 7 group dinners as well. So that'll give you a chance to socialize and maybe try some different foods. And the other meals you would be responsible for getting on your own. There are always restaurants nearby. It's rather inexpensive. We say to budget roughly $500 to $700 for meals. Those are for all the ones that aren't included as part of our itinerary. And here's just an outside view of the 2 hotels. So this kind of gives you an idea. They're smallish hotels. This one is the one Hotel Cumbaya in Quito, and this is Dolphin House in San Cristobal. So as Monica mentioned, swimming is a big part of this program. So it is important to provide proof of swimming proficiency. It is a requirement when you're applying to the program. So what we require is the equivalent of what's called the Swim to Survive test. And what this is basically rolling into deep water, treading water for 1 minute, and swimming 50 meters, any kind of strokes you want. It's really to show that you are comfortable in the water and that you have some basic swimming skills. So there's a few ways that you can provide the proof of swimming proficiency. If you've taken swimming lessons in the past and you have even those old report cards from when you were younger, you can submit those. And that's fine to show that you have the basic swimming proficiency. So swimming lesson reports, of course, if you have scuba certification or lifeguarding certification, that definitely meets the requirements. You can submit those to us. There are also some Swim to Survive drop-in sessions at U of T, as well as Learn to Swim classes. So if you don't yet have that proficiency, look for the drop-in sessions of either Learn to Swim or Swim to Survive. And I've posted links to those on our website. So they are run by the recreation department at U of T. There should be one at each of the 3 campuses. So you can contact your campus pool to find out about them. Right now, I checked, it looks like the Swim to Survive, they don't have any sessions right now for January. So I've contacted them. Hopefully they'll be adding some more sessions. But there are other options too. So you can, like I mentioned, check with your campus pool, check with the community pool, and see if you can do a test. We have a form that we can provide to you that they would just need to sign off on to show that you've basically done a test. It's kind of like a deep end test that you would do if you were going to one of those pools. So I have had students who were able to get a lifeguard at a local pool sign off that they meet the requirement. We've also had students videotape themselves doing the test and send that to us. So really, we're really open to how you want to prove your swimming proficiency. We don't want it to stop you from doing the program. So please get in touch with me if you have any questions about that. we're happy to help you along the way with that. So of course, there's lots of travel by boat. One other thing to keep in mind is possible if you're prone to seasickness or motion sickness, that could be an issue for you as well. So you might want to think about that and how you would prevent that if that is an issue.
Sorry, Genevieve, if I could just jump in
Yeah.
with regards to, I mean, you covered the swimming beautifully. I just want to sort of reiterate, this is just for safety. It's not like any of these days are going to be, okay, we get in the water and we're going to swim a kilometer out to our site. No, it's if you're not a super strong or, you don't love to swim, that's fine. But we just want to make sure that you're safe in the water.
That's a great point. Yes, thank you. Yeah. And if anyone has any questions about that, please put them in the Q&A and we can chat about it after. I don't see any questions at the moment. So I will move on. So let's talk a little bit about the course, more about the academic side. So it is ENV 395YO. It's a special topics field course, ecology, geography, and history on the Galapagos Islands. There is recommended preparation for the course, but as I'm sure our professors will mention, they are open to students from all academic backgrounds. A couple of examples of the recommended prep are ENV 200 or Bio 150 or 120, and it is suitable for all programs at the School of the Environment. So Monica and Christophe, if I could have you maybe chat a little bit about the course, and I'll just pull up the evaluation as well.
Sure. Do you want, okay, I can take a stab. Okay. So, the way we're going to, so first off, this is so nice. We're getting excited already. It's not for a while, but I'm already getting excited. That's awesome. So we start off with a pre-departure assignment where this will actually be, you prepare sort of a bit of a fact sheet about a species so that when we're out in the field and we see that, you can, start to say, you can give a talk about the albatross or whatever. So that's it's a fun introduction, and it gets you, a bit of a chunk of your academic work done ahead of time. We have the 4 days of on-site instruction, which I think will be nice. First off, we'll get to know you, which I think is good. You'll get to know us. We'll get to know you. It'll be a nice introduction to the whole class, and we'll get some of the lecture material out of the way so that when you hit the ground running. You've already got a bit of an introduction. In terms of, well, maybe before I get to the evaluation piece, maybe I should just say, following up on what Genevieve said, that it really is open to everybody because it is focused on the Galapagos as sort of a very complex system that's both, it's a social system as well as a natural system. There's whatever, geology, biology, but then also the human component. What are we doing in terms of conservation? What are we doing in terms of waste management, and so on and so forth? So you don't have to be a hardcore science student. People have come from all kinds of academic backgrounds and both, get something out of the experience, but also bring something to the table when we have students that come from a variety of backgrounds. So we really encourage you, if you have any interest, sort of in this unique place, that we're going to be talking about lots of, sort of the way all the threads are woven together to sort of create this as a unique human natural, sort of ecosystem. And then actually, you know what? I'll hand this over now to Chris. You can, because I'm loath to just keep on talking, so I'll let you jump in and maybe keep going with. Or do you want me to keep going? It doesn't matter.
Sure, I can come in here for quickly. So yeah, I think the important thing is that while we are ecologists, this is not an ecology course.
Mhm.
So we will talk about the history of the site. We will talk about, as you've heard before, about the social aspect of it. So the more backgrounds we have with the students, like last year we had commerce students, we had, I can't even remember all the fields, but the more the merrier, the better,
Political
the more
science,
interesting
history, yeah. Mhm.
will the discussions be. And so in a way, our evaluations are also on first look maybe vague, but that's exactly the reason why, because we want to give you the chance to really explore either a topic that is in the field that you're studying, that you're majoring in, or to try something completely different that you had not thought about, but being on the Galapagos sort of inspired you to work into it. And so that's why we, after the pre-departure assignment, we ask you to keep specific field notes, and we'll give you instructions as to exactly what we want you to put in those notes for every day or whenever you do them. We will have a research project and a presentation that focuses on the Galapagos, but then again, whether that is a historical question, ecological question, a social, economic, political, it is totally up to you. We want you to talk to us about it, and that's why we have the proposal there. So, which then leads to the term paper in the end. So there is a bit of work that you do on the islands, and we'll have a short research presentation day where you can talk to the group about what we've done there, and then the last part is the term paper. And again, it is your choice. We will have a few options, a few suggestions for areas or topics that you might want to consider, but it is your selection as to what you want to work on. But we'll hopefully work through our time on the islands with you on a topic that you'll then write up as the term paper. So the point here is that don't think of these things as sort of just the deadlines of it. You will be able to work on the field notes, on the project and the paper throughout the time that we're there.
I guess I'll just jump in to sort of say that what sort of our ethos is here with the way we run the course and the way we sort of design the assessment pieces is that we really want you to get as much as possible out of the experiential component. So a lot of this is sort of based on reflection on what you're going to be seeing and experiencing. So what we're looking for in the field notes, again, we're going to go into this in much greater detail, but that's where we're going to be asking you to take the material that you learn in the lectures and relate it to what you're seeing, so that you're making that connection, that what you're experiencing isn't just something that you're memorizing from watching a bunch of PowerPoint slides. The same thing with the term paper. It's a sort of your basic ordinary scholarly paper, but we would like you to also connect it into something that you saw and experienced as well. So it has that reflective component, all of it. We're in this incredible place that is really unique in the world. And so what sort of greater, just not knowledge about that place, but how does it connect in? How does it connect into other things that you've thought about in other courses? It's this little microcosm of so many of the issues that, we talk about in environmental science and just broadly and socially and so on. So it's, so that's kind of all our evaluations relate down to your experience there and what you're, sort of the connections that you're making through that experience.
That's great. There is the preliminary course outline is on the website. So if you haven't had a look, take a look at that. It gives a little bit more information. And yeah, if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A, and we'll be able to chat a little bit more a little later. So let's talk about getting to Ecuador. So you do have to make your own travel arrangements to and from Quito, even though, as I mentioned, the internal flight is covered. So we will be recommending a flight with Copa Airlines, which has a stopover in Panama. A lot of there aren't any direct flights to Quito from Toronto, so most of them stop in the United States. And we just find the stopover in Panama is a lot smoother. There's less worries about entry requirements for some students. Even just transiting through the United States can be very complicated. And we've had great experience with Copa Airlines in the past. So that will be the recommended flight. What happens is after you're admitted, we send you a lot more information. One of those details will be the flight numbers and times, and then you would book yourself onto that flight. You also have the option, if you're not coming from Toronto, you can join the group in Panama at their stopover. You can meet them in Quito when they arrive. So you don't have to take this recommended flight at all. It's just for convenience, and it's so that you can travel as a group. I'd say usually 99% of students will take the recommended flight, but like I said, it's not mandatory. There will be a social media group for students set up ahead of time. So you will be able to connect with other students before the program. We will have an online pre-departure orientation, but in terms of connecting, we find the social media channels are pretty useful for our students. That's something that our office is not involved in. but one student will create some sort of channel or chat, and it lets you kind of talk to students ahead of time and maybe get to know each other. And of course, this year, since we're going to have those few classes in Toronto ahead of time, that's even better for getting to know people ahead of your travels. Okay. In terms of visa and insurance, you are responsible for checking to see if you require a visa to Ecuador or not. So if you're a Canadian citizen, you can check the Government of Canada website. You should also check the Ecuadorian consulate's website to see if, based on your citizenship, if you do require a visa. So if you do, we ask you to apply in Toronto if possible, and we will provide you with supporting documentation, a letter basically stating the program that you're doing. We also confirm that you have paid for your accommodation, things like that. So any assistance that you need getting a visa, just reach out to us. It's usually later in the process, so it would be after you've been admitted and after you've paid your deposit. You can go ahead and request a visa letter if it's required for you. But in the past, Canadian citizens have not required a visa, just a passport that is valid, and just to make sure that it's valid for at least 3 months beyond your return to Toronto as well. And in terms of your own insurance, so you should review the terms and conditions of your travel insurance. We will get into a lot more detail about that in the post-acceptance stage. But also look into cancellation insurance. So whichever flight that you're purchasing or however you're purchasing it through, check out if they have cancellation insurance in case you need to change your plans. So in terms of finances, we recommend you start budgeting now for sure. Final payments will be due on April 2nd of 2025. So we do have a lot of financial awards that you can apply for. Most of them are through the Summer Abroad office. So it's actually as part of your Summer Abroad application. You can then say, yes, you want to apply for financial aid, and it will open up another module of questions, and you can apply for our financial aid through your Summer Abroad application. So it's quite streamlined in that way. We do have quite a lot of financial aid available for Ecuador program. There are a variable number of scholarships, but generally they can be up to about $6,000. So it doesn't cover all of your fees, but it could definitely help. Some other sources to look at are OSAP. So if you're currently on OSAP, you can apply for the summer extension. It usually only releases the funds at the start of the program though, so it's good for on-site expenses, but you would have to budget to pay your other fees by April 2nd. There's also Center for International Experience, the IE Awards. Many of our summer abroad students get those. Those are for domestic and international students. And also to check with your own college registrar's office, because several of the colleges have financial aid that you can apply for, bursaries, travel bursaries that you can apply for through your college. And you can combine them all. So you can receive funding from us, as well as CIE, as well as your own college, as well as OSAP. So definitely start researching it now. We've put together quite a few resources on this financial aid tab of our website. So when you click on that, you will find more details about these external awards as well as our internal awards. And on January 9th, there's an information session online that our director is holding, which is called Financing Your Summer Abroad. So I highly recommend you attend that session on January 9th. You can register for it on our events page, and it will also be recorded. You will find costs on our website. So once you're in the program area of the website, click on costs and you'll see 2 charts, one for domestic students, one for international students. The only difference is that the international student course fee has to be a little bit higher. And this is what the cost chart looks like. This one is the domestic one. So we've broken it down so that you can look at which fees are paid directly to U of T and which ones are additional costs that are variable and that you would pay to other sources. So to U of T, you're paying a $210 application fee. You have the course fee, your U of T incidental fees, which are paid on Acorn once we enroll you in the course, and your field trip fees, which includes the internal flight to and from the Galapagos, as well as the accommodation and the meals that are included. So this is the breakdown that are paid to U of T. And then additional costs is mainly your flight. So this amount, 1,100, is based on the recommended flight right now. The costs do vary. It can change very often, but that's kind of a ballpark for flight. And then meals, this is an estimate. This would be kind of a minimum amount. If you like to eat out more, depending on your own preferences, you can spend a little bit more. That's something that you need to think about when you're budgeting for yourself. So the total cost, approximate cost, is about $12,000 for this program. Like I said, start looking into the financial aid sources, start budgeting now, and do attend the Financing Your Summer Abroad session coming up in January. So I mentioned the financial aid that's available. As I said, it is done through applying. When you're applying to the program, you also apply for your Summer Abroad Awards. So it has the same deadline as well. So you would submit them both at the same time by February 3rd. It is the funding through Summer Abroad is open to domestic U of T students, based mainly on financial need. But academic merit is also considered. So for award criteria for the Summer Abroad Awards, the CGPA is at least 2.25. And one thing to note also is that for Summer Abroad Awards, you must have completed at least 4 full U of T credits by this December. So if you are currently in first year, you would not be eligible for the awards offered through Summer Abroad if you're currently in first year. But as I mentioned, there are external sources like the IE Awards, which you would still be eligible for, and also to check with your college to see if they have any availability. There are also some merit-based awards that are offered through the Summer Abroad website as well. So these ones you would apply to after you've already completed and submitted your Summer Abroad application and your financial need-based awards. Then you can go back and you can browse through some of the merit-based awards and see if you are eligible for any of those to apply to. And those you would apply also through our website, but you would apply for them after the application deadline. Again, these ones would have to have a CGPA of at least 2.25, and some can be more competitive than others, depending on the award and the criteria for it. So applications will open this Friday, December 13th, and your deadline is February 3rd. So it is not first come, first serve. So there's no point in rushing through and getting your application in any earlier. Be sure that you go through the application carefully. We pay a lot of attention to the personal statements. So be sure to consider them and just do the best application that you can. You don't need to rush through. You do have until February 3rd to complete it. Also, we will need to receive your swimming proficiency by the same deadline. So you would email that in to me at ecuador.abroad@utoronto.ca. Again, that's how to reach me. If you have any questions about that swimming proficiency or anything else, you can reach me there. So there is a $210 application fee. If you are not selected for the program, it's a partial refund that you would receive of $100. And if you are applying to multiple programs, you would need to fill out a separate application and a separate application fee for each program. And by program, I mean which country you're applying to. So if you also wanted to apply for, let's say, Italy, that's a separate application and a separate application fee. This is what the application will look like when you're filling it out. Be sure that as you go along, these are all greened out, green check marks, and that makes sure that you have filled out all the fields completely and that you haven't missed any. You'll want to be sure to go through and click submit at the end of your application, just to be sure that your application has been received. Sorry, I don't know what's happening with my slides here. There we go. So just make sure that, yes, all of the things have green check marks and that you have clicked the last stage, which is submit. So we do look at academic suitability, but as we mentioned, we don't have specific prerequisites for this program. And we do look at your personal statement quite a lot. That's an important part of your application. So one new thing this year is that we are also doing recorded interview questions. And here students are asked to speak more about adaptability and kind of general questions. And these, you will receive details and a link to the online interview once the application fee has been paid. So you'll receive, after you've paid the application fee, you'll get an email with quite a lot of instructions on your next step for doing the recorded interview questions. So those are done, as I said, they're online. It's not with a real person, so you can do it 24/7. We just ask you to speak about a couple of questions about adaptability. And in terms of the admission timeline, so if you are accepted, you will have 1 week to confirm your participation by paying the non-refundable $1,000 deposit. And admission decisions will be sent out in mid-February. So it'll be a pretty quick turnaround for this program because it is such an early program. If you are offered a spot and you decline it, you would not be refunded the application fee. And just as I mentioned, the remaining fees will be due on April 2nd. So there will be a lot of post-acceptance steps that for you to follow. So we will be providing a lot more detail during the post-acceptance stage. And then we'll be asking you also to provide quite a bit more information. So those will all be outlined once you're accepted to the program. And then in early to mid-April, we'll have a pre-departure online orientation session where we'll go through more health and safety information, as well as really specifics about your trip. USFQ prepares a really detailed itinerary and guide for students. So you'll be receiving a lot more information at the pre-departure orientation to make sure you're fully prepared for the program. And then we also create an online student guide where all of the information is posted, and then you can access it from anywhere. So there's lots of supports for you along the way, as well as prior to your departure. So just a few words about equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. So we support all participants in your study abroad experience. We aim to ensure that students are able to participate as they see fit in the learning opportunities and activities that we offer. And we have a designated program coordinator for diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. So my colleague Wenjie specializes in any issues along the lines of accessibility in particular, as well as equity, diversity and inclusion. And we urge you to reach out if you do have any concerns about accommodations or accessibility. It's a good idea to have a virtual meeting with Wenjie to talk about some of the issues that you may have and some of the requirements and some of the site-specific information. So if you do require accommodations, you should first register with your campus's accessibility services office so that an accommodation plan can be put in place. And then you would provide us this letter of accommodation within 7 days after you've been admitted to the summer abroad program. So we have so many different sites in so many different countries that there is a really wide range of accommodations that are available depending on the country, depending on the facilities. So we can't guarantee that the sites will necessarily be able to offer all of the accommodations that are available at U of T. And that's why it's so important to contact us ahead of time, to reach out to our office, to meet with my colleague Wenjie, if you have any concerns or any questions about accessibility abroad, because we want to make sure that you have the best experience possible. So Wenjie has also put together quite a few site-specific resources on the website. So if you go to the section on EDI and accessibility on the website, you will find site-specific blogs for each country. So you can go and check out the information on Ecuador, both about site-specific facilities, cultural expectations, things like that. So definitely check out these resources on our website. There's also a Summer Abroad Inclusion, Diversity, and Excellence Award, which is awarded to undergraduate students participating in summer abroad based on academic achievement, financial need, and recent contributions to the advancement of equity, diversity, and inclusion. So again, you'll find more information on this on our website, and we encourage you to review that. All right, now I believe that's it for my formal presentation. If you have any questions about anything that we've talked about, please go ahead and post them in the Q&A. I don't see any questions there yet, but I'm sure there must be something that we weren't clear about and that we'd be happy to chat about. But first, I'm so glad that we have Caroline with us. She is our student speaker who participated in the program last year. So Caroline, I'll hand it over to you to tell the students a bit about your experience.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name's Caroline. I'm a third year at U of T St. George campus. I'm a public policy and sociology student, so not quite in line with the, I guess, environmental studies path. But as Christoph and Monica were saying, there are a lot of students like me who also weren't like in environmental studies or like more STEM oriented areas. So yeah, a bit about my experience. I really loved the course, and traveling to Ecuador and the Galapagos was something that was really, really cool for me. I'd never been to South America before prior to this program, so it was a very new experience and really enabled me to go beyond my comfort zone in a lot of different ways. But yeah, I'm open to answering any questions. I don't know if there's anything else like I missed, but yeah.
What would you say was the most rewarding thing? Like what would you say was like the most memorable moment, let's say?
Yeah, so something that was very memorable for me was our trip to Kicker Rock. I think that's a very like shared sentiment among like all my classmates, but it was just a really great expedition. We I think we went twice actually, and we saw some really cool things on both times. So we got to see some hammerhead sharks, some sea turtles, a lot of sea lions everywhere, um, a lot of aquatic birds. But I also wasn't someone who was super like familiar with being in the water and snorkeling, so it was a bit of an adjustment, especially at the beginning. With our snorkeling expeditions, I just wasn't fully comfortable, but it was really cool by the end to have really gotten used to that and um, just being a lot more comfortable in the water and seeing all the amazing things underwater. So yeah.
One thing students sometimes ask too is like how is it different maybe kind of academically than if you were to do a similar course on campus? I mean, obviously it's quite different, but like how would you kind of summarize it, the difference?
Yeah, that's a kind of difficult question. I mean, I guess it was very heavy on experiential learning, so everything was so hands-on, and just being in the Galapagos was just such a unique experience that there's no way that we could have really learned anything in the same way. But I think another thing was just being so immersed in the local culture was really unique. So it wasn't just like the physical environment, but just meeting with the people and learning about the cultural nuances and just the different, I guess, some of even the different like social issues that were unique to the islands. Just being there and learning about that was something that I think was very valuable. Yeah. Um, Ouch. I'm just checking the Q&A here. But someone asked, what was your favorite field trip? So Kicker Rock was a big one, which I mentioned earlier, but I guess another one would be going to Darwin's Bay. And there was a big hike with that as well. We went on a few hikes actually, but um Darwin's Bay was really cool, just like learning about the historical aspects. Like I hadn't really taken many, or I haven't taken any like biology or ecology courses in university, and I had like some experience in high school, but just seeing all these historical sites in person was really, really cool. I know some people also went on some excursions on their own. I believe it was to Isabella. Like our program, I believe, was a little bit different in that we didn't go to the other islands. But it's really cool that there's going to be some of that next year. But yeah.
If I could just, but then because teaching like this course is different for us too. Um, Obviously, again, because it's not in a lecture room, but also because we often don't know like what outings are look like or what we see. Or we went to a farm last time for the first time that we hadn't been to before, and the people there, they know things about the islands that we don't know. So it is a learning opportunity and a learning experience for us as well that we're doing right alongside of you because of new things and because of meeting all these people who talk about their life there that we obviously are also new to. So yeah, it is different for all of us.
Yeah, it's a learning experience. Every time I always laugh because I remember a student many years ago who one time we were sort of saying that we had just with moving around and everything, we'd sort of fallen behind on lectures and we said, we really have to fit in another lecture tonight. And she turned around to us and she said, "We don't need lectures, we're living it." And I thought, like that's actually no, we still need the lectures. But we are living it. So yeah, it's very much it's quite different. So I just saw that Rebecca asked a question about language barriers. It's a great question. Basically you can get by, Carolyn, you can back me up on this with I can't remember what your Spanish is like. It is helpful to know a little, like if you can say please, thank you, hello, where is the bathroom in Spanish, you'll be fine. Most people, that's totally fine. If you learn hola and gracias, you're fine and you smile a lot. It is a touristy area, so most people that you're going to be encountering will speak English. So I'm not sure that anybody gets into a situation where they're really, really, really stuck. Whatever. There'll be somebody that will be able to speak English. But if you feel like learning a little bit, it's a great language to learn and nice to be able to show off a few phrases.
Yeah, I can speak to that a bit as well, but I also had very, very minimal Spanish like knowledge. But as Monica said, it is very touristy. So you definitely will get by. Like no major issues with that at all.
So Caroline, is there anything that you wish that you had known like ahead of time when you were kind of making this decision that, some of the students watching are probably, they might be on the fence about it or whatever. Like, do you have any advice for your past self on the program?
Honestly, I just say just do it. It is such a fun program, and I had such a great time meeting so many people from different programs with different, I guess, levels of expertise on different things. Um, but yeah, just be ready to like take that step out of your comfort zone. I found myself doing so many new things and trying new foods and just yeah, a lot of new things that I'm very glad that I did in hindsight. So yeah, just going into things with an open mind and yeah, just yeah, being prepared for that, I guess.
Yeah.
I was just that was such a great answer, Caroline. And you were so flexible. You were wonderful. But the reason we emphasize that so much, I don't want to give anybody concern that we're doing like, horrible things like waking you up at 3 a.m. to make you go, like hike with a 50-pound backpack. That's not it. But it is an active course. So it's sort of something, do be prepared that we're kind of on the go, like we do a lot of hiking, we get in the water. It's it's physically demanding in the sense that, again, it's not like you don't have to be a marathon runner to do it, but sort of expect to be kind of, not a lot of downtime, not a lot of lazy days, like and particularly this year, there's going to be, we have a lot of field trips planned and so on. So it's, if you just go into it with that attitude that we go sometimes, I mean, fortunately where we are, it's not, you're unlikely to experience really cold temperatures, but it can rain, and we'll do things whether it's rain or, rain or shine. So, it's sort of like you have to be a little bit hardy in that sense that, if it's a misty, drizzly day and we've got a hike planned, we're going to go hiking in the drizzly mist. And, so if that's, I mean, there's beautiful things to see. And if you just take the attitude that no matter what the conditions and what we're doing, it's an opportunity to see amazing things that you'll have never seen before, and most people don't ever get a chance to see, then you've got the right attitude to take forward.
That sounds great. I don't see any questions right now, so we'll probably be wrapping up in a couple of minutes. Just to remind you to check our Instagram. There's some amazing student stories there. We also have a student stories section on our website. You can see their photos, their videos. Really great way to kind of see the student perspective. And yeah, just to remind you of some ways to get in touch. So of course, check our website for updates, and that's where you'll be applying. You can go in and you can create your student profile starting on December 13th. So we open up applications this Friday. You can go and get started with your application. And also be sure to reach out to me if you have any questions. You can reach me at ecuador.abroad@utoronto.ca. You can also book an appointment with me if you're more comfortable with that. If you have any questions with the profs, you can submit them to us and I can certainly forward them on. So yes, so keep in touch if you have any questions as the application process goes along. I'm just going to check the Q&A one more time.
Yeah, Rebecca just posted the question.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So 2 more questions. How many students usually apply? What's the acceptance ratio? And what's the situation like for recommended gear? So I could probably talk about the applications. It's really hard to say. It varies quite a lot year over year. I would say there are definitely usually more applications than there are spots in the program. Again, it's hard to put a number on it. I would say since we have 20 spots, I think last year, just as an example, we probably had about 32, 33 applications for 20 spots. So probably not everyone will get in, but we really look at your application individually. We don't just look at, let's say, grades or any specifics like that. We really do take a holistic approach. So your personal statements are a way that you can really kind of show why you want to do the program, what you could bring to the program. It's good to show also that you have at least some awareness of what's going to be expected and where you're going to be and so on. So making your personal statements as specific as you can and as genuine as you can about why you're a really good fit for the program. Those things all make your application really strong. Yeah, it's hard to put a number on an acceptance ratio, but it's probably not one of our most competitive programs. We do have programs where, let's say, only half of the people might get a spot or even less. So it's somewhere in the middle. I hope that helps. Yeah, the recommended gear.
Just, yeah, I would think about 2 things. The first thing is how to bring your gear, whatever you take. We're not going to travel all that much, but we will be traveling on boats. And so, for instance, a big wheelie suitcase that is handy in an airport is going to be difficult to lug onto a boat. So one thing I would think about is how you bring the stuff. And then the second thing is think about the activities that we do. So as you heard, we'll be snorkeling, so we'll be in the water. Although the snorkeling gear, mask and fins and snorkels, we can rent there if you don't have it yourself. We'll be hiking, we'll be outside walking, we'll be in lecture rooms. So whatever you need for those activities. And it'll be warm generally and a lot of sun. So the kind of things that you need for those kind of aspects. And we will, once you've accepted, you'll get a whole suggested packing list with some hints. And maybe again, Caroline, you have a few things that you took and you were happy about, or you thought I should bring that next time.
Definitely sunscreen.
Lots
Top
of it,
item.
yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. No, that's a great tip. The other thing is that it's you don't feel the need to bring tons of stuff. It gets cool in the evening, so you want to have sort of like whatever, sweater and long pants. It's also very sunny and warm during the day. But there's also laundries everywhere, and it's cheap. They charge an American dollar for what is it, a kilo or something like that, or laundry, or a pound of laundry. And you can really do a fairly big load for about $3, and they've got very quick turnaround. And man, I'm not that good at doing my clothes at home. They come back, they're ironed, they're super clean. It's like, whatever. I don't do nearly as good a job on my own. So it's don't be tempted to take way too much stuff, because then it's a drag as you're trying to lug it onto a boat and off a boat and so on and so forth. And we are in the field a lot. Nobody's looking at it going, I'm pretty sure they wore that yesterday. Yeah, that's okay. We're not we're not super concerned about that.
All right, great advice. Any other questions? Just keeping an eye out. I don't see anything coming in right now. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thanks so much to Monica and Christoph and Caroline. I hope everyone enjoyed the session. And like I've mentioned, please reach out if you have any questions, if you need any more information. I'm more than happy to meet with you and chat. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Good luck with your applications and enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Caroline.
Yeah,
Take
great
care.
seeing you.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.